What if Piers Morgan's sudden caution is not restraint at all, but the loudest warning yet that this Meghan Markle story has entered dangerous territory? Because the man who once detonated controversy with a single sentence is suddenly choosing his words like every syllable could end up in a courtroom. And that change has people digging backward through nearly a decade of clashes, broken friendships, explosive interviews, lawsuits, and one question that refuses to disappear. What exactly does Piers Morgan know that he is no longer willing to say outright?
Another lie. And by the way, Meghan, if you don't like me calling you a liar, just sue me and we'll go through all this in court.
There's only one Meghan I can actually still be civil to, and it's the one sitting to my left. The other one.
You know, she's getting back into acting, Piers. I'm sure you saw that. She's shooting a movie now.
She's playing herself in a movie.
Yeah, which is, I guess, acting.
Yeah, look. I'm actually genuinely curious. Are there any fans of Meghan Markle in tonight?
No.
Should never be allowed to run for office again. How could you do this to me, my apprentice?
What was your demeanour at this point?
Sweating and like thinking this interview's off and how am I going to launch my show? This is a complete disaster. But then also thinking, as I used to in the Celebrity Apprentice.
Piers Morgan has zero love for Meghan Markle. He has made that quite clear. But apparently he took his Meghan obsession too far, and you know what? The Duchess has struck back.
Sure did, and that may be why he's out of a job now. But Piers is doubling down.
Meghan's Netflix series, released to the world this morning, is packed with, well, not really revelations, are they? It's sort of rehashed old revelations with a new twist. As it turns out, we've apparently been wrong all along. Britain is a nasty, racist hellhole where only magnificent Meghan stood up to all this, and the world's biggest victims are not the people of Ukraine.
Well, cancelled is a loose form, isn't it? There's been an attempt to cancel me. There have been many attempts like this before, and somehow I remain resolutely uncancelled. But because in the end, I was required to apologise for disbelieving Meghan Markle, who I don't believe. And I believe, which is ironic, that you should be entitled not to believe somebody if you don't want to.
Meghan debacle touched down in Germany today after a whistle-top tour of the UK, which they didn't find time to meet any of their family, who all hate them because they hate them. And they did meet a lot of strangers, of course. And Meghan was supposed to be lecturing young people about equality, which is her favourite subject from her Californian mansion. She was nothing like that. She didn't speak like that. Her mannerisms weren't like that. Yeah, nobody set out to destroy you. You destroyed yourselves in this country with your ludicrous, hypocritical behaviour. The truth be told, what she just said is complete and utter garbage. Harry and Meghan's romance, engagement and marriage were all greeted with ecstatic joy by the British media, the public and the royal family that they've all now abandoned. That's the
clip resurfacing is what reignited everything. Piers Morgan did not sound like the usual firebrand viewers recognize. He sounded careful, almost painfully careful. And when someone with his history suddenly announces that he is being very careful with my words, people naturally start asking why. Is it fear of another legal battle? Is it experience talking? Or has the years-long war surrounding Meghan Markle taught him that there is a very thin line between making an accusation and simply asking a question? Now rewind to June 29th, 2016, before the palace drama, before Oprah, before the lawsuits and global headlines. There was a London pub, 3 dirty martinis, and a 2-hour conversation between Piers Morgan and Meghan Markle. According to Morgan's own account, they talked about Rwanda race in America, gun violence, and everything in between. He believed the evening went brilliantly. Then came the twist. The very next night, Meghan Markle had dinner with Prince Harry. Suddenly, according to Morgan, the messages stopped. The calls stopped. The friendship vanished.
Yep, we're all racists, apparently. Sounds like a different country, but let's be clear, Britain's one of the most tolerant and multicultural nations in the world. We celebrated the glamorous modern flair of the new young royals. We eulogised the newly biracial monarchy as the fresh face of 21st century Britain. I wrote newspaper columns about it myself, including on the day of the wedding. The press and public only turned on Harry and Meghan when their behaviour became obnoxious, self-serving, and rankly hypocritical.
And that is where this story becomes much more personal. Morgan did not describe it as a friendship simply fading away. He described being ghosted. Years later, he was still talking about the abrupt disappearance, still trying to understand what had changed overnight. Was it coincidence? Was it Prince Harry entering the picture? Or was there something else happening behind the scenes that viewers never saw? Then comes the statistic that has sent social media detectives scrambling. Between November 27th, 2017 and May 20th, 2021, Piers Morgan reportedly mentioned Meghan Markle 834 times across columns, tweets, and television appearances. That number is enormous, and whether someone calls it criticism, fixation, documentation, or obsession, one thing is undeniable: the story had become a recurring chapter.
Because there were certain things she said in that, and half-wit Harry, her husband. And one of the things they said was that the Archbishop of Canterbury had secretly married them in their back garden 3 days before the wedding on TV. So we did a quick check, because I thought, that can't be right. And we did a quick check. It turns out that had the Archbishop of Canterbury secretly married them in their garden, he would have broken the law and been sent to prison. So I thought, yeah, old Princess Pinocchio's off on a good one here.
In Morgan's public life. And then the pattern gets even more explosive. After Meghan Markle entered Prince Harry's life, old relationships became fractured, public disputes erupted, and people who had once appeared close seemed to disappear from the picture. Thomas Markle became the center of a devastating family rupture. Samantha Markle remained estranged and associated herself with tell-all projects. Friends from earlier chapters of Meghan Markle's life faded from public view. Even palace staff turnover became part of the wider conversation. But here is where Piers Morgan believed the puzzle started fitting together. In November 2017, when the engagement of
California, I can actually see them, but I don't want to do that. And the other thing is, I've done nothing wrong. There's nothing that points to me and says I'm a bad guy. As a matter of fact, I'm a really loving father, and she knows that, and there's no excuse for her to treat me this way. No excuse to treat the king that way as well. It's really ridiculous. No excuse.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle was announced, Morgan publicly congratulated his former friend. Yet beneath that congratulations was bitterness. He described the relationship as having destroyed his friendship with Meghan Markle. The word destroyed was not casual. It revealed that, for Morgan, this was no longer merely about one woman disappearing from his contacts. It had become a mission to expose what he believed happened after the camera stopped rolling. Then came March 7th, 2021, and
no, we were kind of puzzled when both sides of the family were kept away from the royal wedding, and we started wondering, what's up with this? Like, why? And we started to realize, aha, when you have a wedding and people start drinking champagne at the reception, they start talking.
Right.
So what could the motive be for keeping both sides of the family away?
That's right.
The stories would come out. So apparently, according to other journalists, we found out that there were a lot of porky pies probably told to the royals and even to Harry when they met her, and in order to cover up,
everything exploded. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry sat down with Oprah Winfrey for the interview that would transform their public image forever. Millions watched as Meghan Markle discussed suicidal thoughts, her alleged struggle to obtain support inside the institution, and concerns that had allegedly been raised about her baby's skin color. The claims detonated across Britain and beyond. And the next morning, Piers Morgan delivered the sentence that would change his own career. He refused to believe Meghan Markle. The backlash was immediate. Complaints poured into the UK media regulator. Morgan later cited an extraordinary figure, and the confrontation over his comments became one of the biggest television controversies of his career.
The irony is earth-shattering, isn't it? Harry and Meghan are the Duke and Duchess of gaslighting themselves. The entire show is a cynical attempt to manipulate viewers into questioning their own recollections of reality. And if we learned anything at all from the first 3 hours of this $100 million wine-a-thon, it's surely that this dismal duo wouldn't know the truth if it smacked them around their smug chops. Let's look at their truth versus the actual truth. Meghan moans that royal advisors forced her to uninvite her dear niece, Ashley, from the wedding, the only member of her family that she seemed to be still talking to.
Then came the confrontation on Good Morning Britain. Alex Beresford challenged Piers Morgan over his personal history with Meghan Markle and questioned why he continued attacking her after their friendship ended. The atmosphere turned electric. Morgan walked off set. Hours later, he left the program, but he did not retreat. Instead, Piers Morgan doubled down, insisting he still did not believe Meghan Markle and framing freedom of speech as the hill he was willing to die on. And that is the moment this feud stopped being celebrity gossip and became something much bigger, a collision involving television careers, public accusations, legal threats, and eventually Prince Harry's courtroom battle with Mirror Group newspapers. And that courtroom chapter is where the story takes a darker turn, because the man, once dismissed as simply an angry television personality, suddenly found himself connected to a legal history that could not be shouted away. The courtroom battle changed the temperature completely.
That's why I thought it was so disgusting. And all right, in the end, I was told that 57,000 people complained to the television regulator, Ofcom, in the UK. A world record, I'm proud to say, complained about me for not believing Princess Pinocchio. So I was then told by my bosses, look, by the way, rule one here, never apologize, never clarify, never do anything.
I can verify that. It doesn't work.
We know this. So we did a clarification the next day, and it made no difference. The complaints kept coming in. And eventually my bosses said, can you just apologize to Meghan Markle, or you're going to have to, maybe lose your job. I went, I'll take the job option, thanks, I'll leave.
In June 2023, Prince Harry took Mirror Group newspapers to court, alleging that phone hacking had targeted him and his late mother, Princess Diana. And suddenly, the past Morgan had spent years defending or distancing himself from was dragged directly into the legal spotlight. Piers Morgan had been editor of the Daily Mirror from 1995 to 2004, the exact period surrounding the alleged hacking. In his witness statement, Harry accused Morgan and others of subjecting him and Meghan Markle to a barrage of personal attacks and intimidation, suggesting that the pressure was connected to his decision to bring the claim. Then came December 15, 2023. Harry won the case and was awarded $140,600 in damages. But the detail that really set tongues wagging was what happened around the testimony. Mirror Group newspapers chose not to call Piers Morgan as a witness. Harry's lawyers seized on that decision, arguing that even Morgan's former employer could not put him forward as a witness of truth. Morgan denied wrongdoing, but the judgment created a credibility problem that could not simply be dismissed with another television monologue. And this is where viewers began noticing something fascinating. The Morgan of before and the Morgan of after the ruling did not always sound exactly the same. Instead of simply declaring that Meghan Markle was lying, Morgan increasingly began asking questions. Why was the identity of the person who allegedly denied Meghan Markle helped never publicly established? Why did Prince Harry describe certain explosive experiences in one context and then barely revisit them later? Why did particular accusations seem to dominate headlines and then disappear from subsequent narratives? Suddenly, the language changed from accusation to interrogation. The message was still provocative, but the structure was different, and that distinction matters. Saying something as an established fact can create one kind of legal exposure. Asking why a public record says one thing while another account says something else creates a very different conversation. The audience becomes the investigator. The audience compares the dates, the interviews, the documents, and the contradictions. Morgan does not necessarily have to provide the conclusion. He can simply put the pieces on the table and let viewers connect them. Then came another remarkable development. Meghan Markle had previously demonstrated a willingness to challenge media coverage through complaints and legal action. Yet after the explosive Good Morning Britain confrontation, the years of criticism, and the later court battles, there was no direct public response from Meghan Markle to Piers Morgan personally. She had complained to the regulator over his 2021 comments, and the matter was investigated, but the direct public war people expected never materialized. Morgan himself later claimed Meghan Markle had contacted his bosses at @V, saying pressure had been placed on the network. He also discussed the support he received from figures including Sharon Osbourne, whose own television controversy became part of the fallout. Morgan insisted that his objection was about whether he believed the claims, not Meghan Markle's race, while his critics argued that his rhetoric crossed serious lines. And then the feud entered another explosive chapter. In November 2023, Omid Scobie's book Endgame became embroiled in controversy after passages appeared to identify King Charles and Kate Middleton as the royals allegedly connected to comments about Archie's skin color. Morgan named them on his program. Suddenly, legal consequences were being discussed again, yet no lawsuit followed. No dramatic courtroom confrontation arrived, just silence. That silence became part of the story. Morgan continued talking. Meghan Markle continued with her public life. Prince Harry continued his battles. And the audience kept watching. Piers Morgan Uncensored grew into a major platform, with videos attracting enormous audiences and interviews generating headlines of their own. The feud that once looked like a personal grudge had become content, controversy, and an endless feedback loop. But the most provocative question remained. If Piers Morgan was genuinely certain about everything he believed, why had his language become so much more cautious? Because the stakes had changed. There were now allegations involving defamation, privacy, harassment, intimidation, and court records. A barrister known as the Secret Barrister had previously warned that repeated conduct could potentially raise questions under the Protection from Harassment Act 1997. Morgan's defenders saw relentless scrutiny of powerful public figures. His critics saw an unhealthy fixation, and that leaves the audience staring at the strangest twist of all. Morgan keeps asking questions. Meghan Markle keeps refusing to answer him directly. Prince Harry keeps fighting battles through institutions and courts, and every unanswered question becomes another piece of the mystery. Perhaps that is why Morgan sounds different now. Perhaps the caution is simply experience. Or perhaps after years of lawsuits, complaints, courtroom judgments, and public warfare, he has learned the most powerful weapon is no longer the accusation. It is the question. And as long as nobody answers it, the controversy has nowhere to go but forward.